You're muted.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, very good. I'm just texting Adam right now. He was asking me a question about it. But hi, nice to see you both. My name is Angela. So lovely to
Hi,
be with
Angela. I'm Lynn, and I'm going to rename myself over here. And so so Steve Abati, is he also?
you. He is he joining?
Yes. So he
Okay,
and Adam are in the waiting room.
so Adam should come in and Jackie Senka should come in. I do know Steve Abadi, but he's not presenting.
Okay.
Hi, Adam. And Lynn, who is with you there?
This is my son, John.
Hey, John. I hear you might be asking some questions as well.
Yeah.
So John wants to, you can come closer here. There you go. So John wants to be a gym teacher. And while he was doing transition, he was working with one of the elementary schools in town.
Oh, great.
And so he would go over to the elementary school and he would help out with some of the younger students. And then, of course, COVID hit. And so, unfortunately, that was the end of that. But yes, that's what he's hoping that he can do.
Great. And where are you all located?
So we are actually in Stamford.
Okay.
I have to stop my live stream right now. So we are in Stamford, and he was very involved with Unified Sports also from Stamford High School. And we just went to one of their games last week. I don't remember if it was you that I had emailed the story with the students from the girls and boys basketball teams that
Yes.
made signs for all the kids from Unified. And who was the kid that was hitting the half court shots?
I don't know his name.
You don't remember his name? He was so funny. He would come down the court and he would just stop and look around, and he hit one and the place went crazy. You might have thought that it was Michael Jordan that just hit a shot.
Awesome.
So it was really good.
Nice. That's always
I'm not
exciting.
certain whether or not Jane is coming on early or not. I would have assumed that she would have been. We've been doing IEP, the new IEP presentations for the last 2 weeks. So we had another one. We had our last one today, and I know that she was involved in that.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Hi, John. How you doing?
Good.
Thanks for inviting us tonight.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, I believe that I can. So, Angela, I'm going to make you co-host.
Sounds good. Let's see. And Jackie is just is there a password to get in? There shouldn't be, right? I didn't need to use one.
No, you should have received the link.
Yeah. Just make sure.
So my daughter's doing unified sports at Amity High School.
Okay.
They had an event today after school. Just got home from that.
Jimmy Tawala?
No.
No. Okay, so we'll just let him chill for a while.
And Adam, I hear Steve Abadi is in the waiting room.
Oh, great.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna send a. I'm just gonna send them a message. So now I see another Angela DeGrassi.
Oh.
Could be Jackie. Is she going through you somehow?
She did say just waiting to get in, so.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to let her in?
Yes, she might have used my link because I just forwarded the link.
Okay. Yeah. There she is.
Hey, Jackie.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Beautiful. Good. I'm Jackie. Very nice to meet you.
Hi, good to meet you too. You might want to change your name down there on the.
I don't know why it does that, Angela. It just automatically says your name all the time. Yeah, I don't know. I think you might have used my Zoom code once and then it just set to default. So there. Is that working? Perfect. I'll put my last name too.
There we go.
Mhm.
So I've made Angela a co-host, and so Angela, you'll be sharing your slide deck
Yep.
from your side, and we will just make sure that we keep things flowing and that there's some conversation that takes place here. I don't think that Jane is going to be able to join us, so I will just record and I will let people in a minute or two.
Will you be asking questions throughout the presentation? Like as we are sharing info, will you and John jump in?
Yes, is that what you would like
Perfect.
for us to do?
I think, to keep it as a conversation, that is
Right.
nice. So we should all just note to kind of leave room for pauses in case that does come up, so we don't fly through things too quickly.
Not a problem, not a problem. I'm just turning up my volume here so I can hear a little bit better. So we did have 7 people who had signed up. It's been a struggle lately trying to get folks to come in. I think people are zoomed out at this point. I don't know.
Yes.
But even with our new IEP presentations, we had 125 people signed up for the last one, and we only had 38 show. So that was really disappointing because we did cap it at 125. So there could have been other folks who wanted to come in that weren't able to, which was disappointing. So currently there are 2 folks that are sitting in the waiting room. I do hope that we have more that join. You are being so kind with your time and coming on for us. So.
And do you have a time that you want us to stick to? Like, is there a time limit or something that a time you want to hit?
So we had booked this for an hour. I think that was probably what your expectation was. So, I mean, if there's a lot of discussion and people are engaged and you want to stay a little longer, that's fine. If we finish up earlier than that, then that's fine too. So.
Very good.
So I'm just going to shut this light off that's behind me, and then I will let the other folks in.
Great.
There we go. I think that was it's so hard to get the right lights, especially at the end of the day.
Yeah.
What are we going to put on here? So I will let these folks in if you're okay with that. Did you have anything else
Sure.
that you wanted to?
I think we're ready.
Angela, you're in charge. You're the host.
Okay, so it's just those 2 for right now. So we'll let them in.
Hey, Steve.
Hi. Good to see everyone. And Lynn, are you going to be giving an intro at all to our presentation, or should we just dive right in?
So I will just introduce us, and then I will introduce you, and you can introduce the folks that are there with you, and we can go from there. And I'm going to turn our recording on, if that's all right with you. Oh, I think it actually is still on. Yep, it is.
Yep.
So we are recording. So just so that everyone is aware, this is being recorded, and we like to be able to share these on our YouTube page because people are able to access them later on. So thank you for joining us tonight. I am Lynn Rule with the Connecticut Parent Advocacy Center. We are a parent training information center for the state of Connecticut. And tonight we are going to be talking about adaptive PE. And with me here is my son, John. John has gone through transition in our local high school, and he is hoping to be a gym teacher at some point in time. He's had experience with unified sports, and hopefully he'll be able to also add a little bit to the conversation. So I am going to turn things over to Angela DeGrassi, and you can go from there.
Sure. Hi. Thank you very much for that, Lynn and John. It's great to be on with both of you. And thank you, Steve and Jimmy, for coming on. And hopefully many more people will have the opportunity to view this video after. So Steve and Jimmy, don't hesitate to chime in, raise your hand, and ask any questions that you may have throughout this presentation too. So I am here with Jackie Senka, who is the lead trainer at Autism Health and Fitness Center. She is also an adaptive PE teacher at Hamden Public Schools, and Adam Leapley, who is co-founder of Autism Health and Fitness Center as well. So we will get into it. I'm going to share my screen, pull up our presentation. And here we are. So our presentation is the importance of adaptive PE and the power of movement, something that we do best. So just a quick overview about what we do. So Autism Health and Fitness Center, we are a specialized fitness center where we offer a really wide range of services. So it's one-to-one personal training, small group classes, and camps during school breaks. That includes summer camps, winter break camp, and spring break camp. So those are the services that we offer within our center. It's really a wide range that is individual, but also offers social and group opportunities. And then we have another side of what we do, which is adaptive PE services, where we will actually go into schools and teach specialized fitness classes for special education classes. So it's, we are all over the place. Our classes are in Fairfield, New Haven, Northford. We were in Wallingford at one point. So we've really been all around to many different schools. And I'm going to hand it over to Adam to kind of share a little bit about just how, why the fitness center was started, why he and his wife Deidre founded it. And yeah, then we'll pick up from there.
Thanks, Angela. So we opened in May 31st of 2014. And the reason we decided to open our fitness center was we have a son, Jacob, who went through transition like John and did unified sports and did very well through fitness. And we saw how his life drastically improved once he got consistent exercise. So we decided that we wanted to help other families. And the first thing I did was put together a board of people who really have the education and the background for whether it's autism or other special needs providers. So I'm just a parent. I didn't have any actual education on special needs, but I had the drive to help my son and other people. So we started with the Yale Child Study Center, and they were a big help. And we added lots and lots of different people on our board. You can see the people on our board are on our website. And from there, our goal was, as I mentioned, just to help as many families as we could. And through research with Yale Child Study Center, we found that consistent exercise really helps all special needs, whether it's autism or something else. So keep it simple. Adaptive behaviors will go up and maladaptive behaviors will go down with consistent exercise. And Dr. Volkmar from Yale Child Study Center was probably the biggest help in the beginning. I can name 100 people after him that have helped. But we opened in 2014 and we continue to grow. One of the things we looked at, and based on the discussion tonight, was expanding into the schools, because we knew as one fitness center, we would be capped at a certain amount of people coming in. We'd be, kind of capped based on the surrounding towns. And I thought the best way to help was to go into the schools. And so I started doing research on adaptive PE in the state of Connecticut. And unfortunately, there really is no certification, or there's no real program. There's only guidelines in the state of Connecticut. I looked to Jackie for help, since this is her specialty. And Jackie and I actually went up to the state legislators to try to get something in place for the state for adaptive PE. A lot of people, especially parents, and I'm guilty of it, that you don't think about gym class as an important thing in the IEP. You're worried about, can I get 15 more minutes of speech, or can I get 15 more minutes of anything else but gym? You don't think about that. And looking back, I wish I did a better job there. Eventually, I figured it out for my son, and Unified Sports was probably the best program the school provided. He also did Best Buddies, and I think that's great. Not every school has that, unfortunately, but the research shows that gym class is one of the worst periods for special needs if it's not adapted properly. So you could put recess, gym, and lunch as the three worst periods, because they have the least amount of structure, and that's when you need the most social skills. And that's obviously a challenge for some of our population. So we really wanted to focus on adaptive PE and get it in the schools. So with Jackie's help, we wrote up a program, and we've been teaching adaptive PE, as Angela mentioned, in the school systems, probably 5 or 6 towns. And our goal is to, reach out to as many schools as we can. And, one thing we did just to accomplish at Southern Connecticut University is we have an adaptive PE minor that's going to start. It's going to be the first one. And
That's great.
So John, if you get to go to Southern, you can actually take, for gym, to be a gym teacher, you can take an adaptive PE as a minor. So I can't wait. That it looks like it will start in September, the fall semester. If not, there's always a lot of red tape. It'll start in January of 2023.
Now,
So,
Adam, where is your gym physically located?
So we're in Orange, Connecticut.
Okay. And for the folks that are looking to do some of the camps, the camps that are mentioned for the summer, is it during school breaks as well, or is it only in the summer?
No, so we do the winter break and spring break, and also in the summer.
Okay. And you accept students from all around the state as long as they're willing to drive to Orange?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to also share that our camp program, it's really unique in so many ways, and it's one of the most well-received programs we offer. But one way that it's unique is the ages that it spans. We have children as young as 5, and someone, adults in their 30s that have come, and the program is really successful even within that age range. Thanks to Jackie and her amazing programming. So we serve everyone. It's not just limited to students.
That's great. So have you gone into the schools then and done professional development for some of these gym teachers in order for them to be able to learn proper ways to provide adaptive PE for students, correct?
Well, so the schools that we go into, we actually do the PE class.
Oh, okay.
So back to Connecticut, as I mentioned, there's really just guidelines.
Right.
So you can go to one school, like Orange is a good example. Sean Mann, who also has consulted with us at the fitness center, he's the gym teacher there, and he's done an excellent program. He actually has put together kind of unified sports during gym class, where he has typical kids take an adaptive class as one of their classes. They actually get credit, and they come in and they pair up with the students. And so for their adaptive PE, they're with a typical kid like unified sports. So that's, one way it can be done, but that's just basically on his own. That's nothing from Connecticut. Jackie knows Steve Del Grego in Hamden, who's, on his own too. He's just done a fabulous job of adapting gym class for his special needs students. But you can go to other schools, unfortunately, and you just see special needs students sitting on the bleachers or walking around the track or doing nothing. And our goal is to make it fun and get them engaged, and it really helps them the rest of the day. And we'll talk more about that as we go through our slides.
Great. All right. Let's move on. So, importance of movement. So Jackie is going to speak a little bit on this one.
Beautiful. Awesome. So we all know that movement is definitely an integral part of our day. It's a way for us to be healthy and well. And it's really important for school age students to be hitting those benchmarks per day as well. And the CDC recommends 30 minutes of moderate activity at least 5 times a week. And the physical education setting is a great place to start. Thinking in terms of this special population, there definitely needs to be adaptations and changes for all students to be successful in that environment. So just benefits for students who experience movement in general during the school day: increased on-task behavior, both in the classroom, in their academic classroom, and in the physical education setting. More focused learning, in the classroom, decreased stress level, increased self-worth, self-confidence, feeling good about themselves, increased mood, and with all those things, being more open to learning, open to feedback, because of physical activity and movement during the day, and increased concentration and mental well-being, which are all great sort of things that come along with leading an active lifestyle, which leads us to the importance of getting quality physical activity in PE. Like Adam said, we just don't want students going through the motions, walking the track, sitting on the bleachers. We want them actively engaged. But it takes a lot of work from, the PE teacher themselves, the support staff that is in that class, to make those differentiated strategies for those students to be involved. Thank you, Angela, for switching the slide, which brings us to a quality PE adaptive program. So the goal of a quality PE program is just for all students to be successful. But with that being said, all students are successful at different levels. So it's all about modifying differentiated instruction in order to meet success for each individual student. And that's really the whole goal of every PE class. Students come in, they feel good about themselves, they feel like they could be successful, they have the confidence, and more importantly, they also have the support of those around them to be successful. Qualities and goals of an adaptive PE program. These are just a couple examples, but there are a ton more. Differentiated pace. So that may be, skipping certain sensitive units or going a little quicker through other lessons, different teaching styles, whether that be, prompting during a task or a more pulled back approach, and just the structure of class as a whole. Adam mentioned before, a lot of what I do in my physical education classes is just keep structure the same, so students know what to expect, and then add in, different lessons within that structure. So students know what to expect when they walk in the gym. They're not thrown with a bunch of curveballs. They know how to be successful within the 4 walls of the gym.
And I can attest to that structure as well. You've definitely helped me set up some solid structures in classes, and it really does work when you're changing out just the main lesson, but keeping the structure the same. Right.
I mean, you think in terms of, you go into a new environment, you want to know what to expect, essentially, and it makes sense. And it can't be done without the support of a lot of other people and things. One huge asset that I find in the work that I do is the paraprofessionals. They are the reason why a class is so successful. If they have the buy-in, if they are excited, that is going to completely translate to the success of the students. So it's all about, you know, putting that best foot forward. Paraprofessionals know what to expect, students know what to expect. It makes for a much more fluid class. I like to add visual schedules, different posters that sort of outline our class. Students also may come in with IIC devices or their own sort of visual schedule or token board. So it's great to incorporate those into class so they know what they're earning throughout the PE class. Visual cues and prompting. There's no doubt that an adaptive PE, you know, class, you're definitely more hands-on. You're giving that prompting, that guide along, so students feel supported and successful in whatever they're doing, whether it's, you know, walking the track or kicking a ball. They have the appropriate support and prompting. And differentiated equipment is a huge one. An example of this is, you know, say you're working on volleying in a volleyball unit. You know, it's pretty tough for your average high school student to volley a volleyball. So instead of that, you might throw in beach balls or balloons with a little more hang time. And this just makes, one, the task a little, you know, attainable for students, but two, fostering that confidence in the task is super important. So if, you know, a student is not getting the volley 10 times in a row with a volleyball, they're not going to feel great about themselves. But if you throw in a balloon, they do it a couple times, you have that confidence and that self-worth that you can do it again. And then modified instructions, lessons and units in terms of what you're teaching, how you're teaching it, the pace of lessons and units is super important. And it's, you know, Angela, we've worked really close together, and, you know, what you have written on paper does not always go, I run into this every day, does not always translate into what works. So just learning to be flexible, roll with the punches, rework your lessons is just going to be more successful for the students in the long run. The overall goal is for students to, you know, feel a positive feeling towards movement, a positive energy towards exercise and fitness. So then they have that motivation to want to do that outside of the four walls of the gym. So when they, you know, graduate, leave high school, they find joy in movement and activity. So that's just sort of, you know, what a quality adaptive PE program may look like or may entail.
Great, thank you, Jackie. And John is gonna come on and unmute and share a little bit about his personal experience with PE.
You want to talk about your high school, when you were in high school, and what you did in gym classes?
Yeah. So what I did in class was whether it's outside or not, we whether it's cold or raining, we would normally go outside. Everybody would always pick a sport that they want to play, and I would sometimes I normally walk the track too.
Some days you walked the track.
Some days I don't normally walk in the track. Sometimes sometimes whether they have a game for us to play, normally it will be volleyball or basketball. It'll be fun for us. Sometimes when it's Fridays, normally we'll have open gym and we can do whatever we want. Kind of fun.
And how about the weightlifting class that you took too? Remember when you did weightlifting?
That was hard.
That was hard, right? I was learning about trying to lift weights and getting stronger, right? That was a little bit more challenging.
Yep.
But you still went through it, right? You had a lot of help.
Yeah, I did.
And you were able to ask for help too if there was something that you didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when you went into class, you would get a schedule, right, of what you needed to do for that day. Is that what they did for weightlifting or no?
I have a schedule of what stuff we have to do.
What equipment you needed to work on that particular day, right?
Right.
So one thing I would like to encourage parents, if your child really enjoys being able to take a gym class, and especially when they're in high school, they have the opportunity for electives. And we made sure that every semester we had a gym class. So he always had movement every single semester throughout high school, which was great. And it gave him exposure to weightlifting and to team sports. And I can't remember what the other one was. You had a cardio one time too, right?
Yeah.
So it just gave him exposure to all the different aspects of physical education. But it's important that you as a parent also help to advocate for your child in order for them to be able to do that. So there's the prerequisite of the gym classes that are needed for attaining that diploma or that certificate of completion, but they can also always ask for more.
Great. Thanks so much, John, for sharing that experience. I appreciate hearing it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So how to access adaptive PE. So Adam, is this something that you can talk a little bit about?
Sure. So as I mentioned before, I was a little naive about adaptive PE when my son was younger, and there really wasn't anything available. So it was more working with the gym teacher directly and the special ed coordinator directly. Now, every parent should ask for adaptive PE if they feel their child would benefit from that through their IEP. So the school is obligated to provide an adaptive class individualized to your child to hopefully make it a successful gym class. And a lot of parents, as I mentioned, it's the last thing on their minds, but I do think it's important, not only for outside of school and after they graduate, but just for their school day. Because when we do have successful adaptive PE classes, we get the great feedback from the teachers of how they're more focused afterwards, how they're in a good mood after gym class. Where if it's not adaptive and it's too challenging, then they could have anxiety about going to gym class and feeling down about themselves after gym class if they couldn't do the task that the other kids were doing because it wasn't adapted for them. So the most important thing for the parents is, yes, you can ask for adapted PE through your IEP. And that's where I would start.
Great. Any questions from anyone so far? I know that, this could trigger some questions. Let's see. Okay.
I think that, to go to Adam's point, it's the same as how we feel when we work out. If we have a workout that's way too challenging, we're going to come out of there and feel horrible and never want to go back again. That's for sure. So it's the same approach that you would have for a child too. If they are feeling defeated, if they're feeling frustrated, they're not going to want to go back. But if it's something that engages them and makes them feel happy, and we know that it always brings out those endorphins and makes you happy when you're exercising and you're moving around. So I think we have to just apply that same philosophy to our kids that we apply to ourselves when we're looking to work out.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you.
Okay. The first is, will these slides be available to us?
Yes, I can send them to you after the presentation.
Okay, appreciate it. And the second is, can someone explain the similarities and differences between adaptive PE and occupational therapy or OT?
Sure.
Yeah,
Jack?
that might be, that's
Okay.
definitely a Jackie question.
I'm no OT, but I'll try to explain it the best I could. So adaptive PE or physical education in general is a special that students should get no matter what. If they're in, the public school or even the private school setting, they'll be getting, physical education, art, music, oftentimes library. OT or occupational therapy is, from what I understand, on an individual basis. So if a student is recommended for those services, they will then therefore be, you know, pulled out for those individual service. It's the same with OT, occupational therapy, speech and language pathologists. I also think physical therapy are more of those individual services, whereas adaptive PE or physical education, art, music is, you know, available for all students, you know, in a school setting. That's the way I understand it.
Let me just jump in on that, Jimmy. So if a student is going to be receiving occupational therapy, they will have been evaluated and determined to need that service. So it could be that they're working specifically on gross motor skills or maybe fine motor skills. You could have a child receiving occupational therapy because their need is dysgraphia, and so that's, you know, working on handwriting or maybe some manipulating with buttons and snaps and something along those lines, whereby the adaptive PE classes, as they are talking about, would be the same as accessing a class for math or language arts or any of the other specials that Jackie had mentioned. Does that clear it up a little bit for you?
Yes, it does. Thanks.
You're welcome. Did you have another question too?
No,
I thought you said you had a couple.
Yeah, the first one was about the slides, and you're gonna email it to us.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Great.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have any questions? You can just unmute yourself and.
All right.
No?
So we'll move on. Benefits of a specialized program. This is also Jackie's territory and what she's the best person to speak on this topic as well.
Well, I will say one slide is definitely not enough to really hammer out all the benefits of a specialized program. But this is sort of the short list that I condensed in terms of how students benefit from more structured physical activity in a PE class. Increased support and differentiated instruction. We talked about that a little bit more, but oftentimes in an adaptive PE program or an adaptive PE class, there is not only the PE teacher, but also other support staff to support students, which is integral. You know, one teacher can only be in so many places at once, but there are students who will need more support for some activities. So that support staff is essential for that. Typically, physical education or adaptive PE classes typically are smaller groups of students, which is great, which means you can tailor instruction a little bit more to less students. And it's more sensory friendly, or that's the goal. You know, a gym, you know, when you walk into a gym, usually the first thing students want to do is just run free. But it's really important to have a safe, sensory friendly space of structure, of music low, of, you know, equipment that students can access and be successful with in order for it to be an inviting environment. Like I talked about before, differentiated pacing, introduction of skills can be different or taught in a different way. Increased success levels, increased confidence, increased self-worth. Like you were talking about before, it's just like you and I, you know, when we go into a gym or a fitness center, we want to feel successful or leave with a feeling of success after our workout. If students have that adverse, you know, reaction towards physical activity or going home saying, you know, I hate PE, it's so loud in PE, that might be a cue that maybe it's not the right environment. Maybe it's not the most successful environment for that student. Oftentimes in a adaptive PE class, there's peers on a similar skill level. So the whole group can feel success, and that success sort of radiates to all students. Differentiated equipment, like we talked about, to achieve goals, and totally different benchmarks and assessments. You know, the goal isn't to really, you know, hammer in that forehand pass. It's to make sure students have an understanding of how to be active, how to participate in sports and activities, and more or less how to access that outside of the physical education setting. So yeah.
So the power of movement. So this, I believe this was going to be a little bit about bringing fitness or really movement into the classroom. Something else that Jackie has experience with. She's very clearly our lead trainer and influencer on so much of what we do at the fitness center. But I know she has also worked hard to pull together resources for to advise teachers on bringing fitness into the classroom as well.
Exactly. Thank you, Angela. So there's no doubt that in a student's day, a majority of it is sedentary. So sitting in a desk, sitting in a classroom. So it's really ideal that students are getting those bursts of movement, those bursts of energy throughout the day. And that can really set themselves up nicely to be focused, to learn new material, to stay on task. So how can this be done? The first bullet point, pass activities. This is something I have experience with it when I was in college and school, and we brought this to different school districts. What PASS stands for is physically active school systems. And what it was as a whole is pretty much education for teachers on how to throw in movement breaks during academics. So this is, 2 or 3 or 5 minute bursts where you can do an activity with a group of students that gets them up, gets them moving, and then therefore more equipped to learn. I was talking about Angela. Sorry, did you want to say something, Angela?
No, I was just gonna, I'm not sure if we have any educators in the group. I know, there's parents for sure, but yeah, I'm not sure if we have any educators in the group, but certainly things like this are a great resource. But go ahead, continue.
No, I was just saying that we were talking about this the other day going through this presentation, and Angela actually made a great point on it's important for also teachers to understand, the structure of the day and putting in those bursts of energy and bursts of movement in different parts within their schedule is really important. And an example of that is, if a teacher is introducing a new math skill or a new language arts skill, maybe adding that 5-minute burst of movement right before so students can get out all that energy, get out all that movement, and then therefore be more ready to sit sedentary for a little while and absorb those new academic skills that they're getting. So it's just something to think about. And it's all about giving, teachers the tools in their toolbox in order to implement this through their daily schedule. This is also a great way to add in cross-curricular activities. So if the example that's popping up in my mind is called Make Sense. So students will walk around the classroom and, for example, you say, make 5 cents, and students have to run together and huddle with each a penny to make 5 cents as a group. So it's just a way to have that cross-curricular. If there's something you're working on in math, translated it over to a movement activity, and infusing those subjects is really fun and students enjoy. And oftentimes it helps them learn as well. And then the infusion of technology to emphasize movement. There is, especially, now with so much being on the computer, so much being online, there's so many resources out there. There's a couple in our resource guide, but from YouTube to Go Noodle, just to get students moving, especially as students are more getting, better used to technology. It's a great way to fuse those two things together. So technology is a great place to find those resources as well.
Great. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions about this, or really anything else? Definitely feel free to unmute yourself and chime in.
So if I could just ask if maybe you could give a quick example of an adaptive class that would be geared toward elementary school students versus middle school versus high school. How would you differentiate between those 3 different groups?
So definitely each class is individual. So knowing the students is of the utmost importance. And as the grades progress, ideally, the skills and the task would get more difficult. So elementary, we're mostly working on those locomotors, body awareness, spatial control, and start infusing those gross motor tasks really through elementary into middle school. And then when we get to high school, some of those things that we talked about already, we're learning, team sports, cooperative games, how to play, with others in a group setting and using more diverse equipment. So it's sort of, from those young ages, we want to instill, how to move the body, how to be spatially aware, and those basic skills. And as they progress through the grades into middle and high school, we start applying those skills. So for example, in elementary, we might work with isolation of skills. So throwing to a target or kicking to a target. Then as you go through the grades into middle and high school, we'll start working on those skills of soccer. So with students who are playing defense, possibly with a moving target, just making those skills a little bit more difficult as those grades progress. And it's sort of like essentially scaffolding the skills over time is essential. And that's just one of many different examples in terms of important skills for students to know.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say thank you, but go ahead, Steve.
I had a question, and I'm not sure if you were going to address this later or, if I'm jumping the gun on this. But how do you see the interaction between what you're doing in the schools and what you're doing at the gym? Does one substitute the other? Do they work together? As a some sort of coordinated program? What is the relationship between the two, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, good question, Steve. And I will answer, but I'm definitely going to ask Adam and Jackie to chime in as well. So they don't always interact in that way, but we do have students that if their school determines they cannot serve them in an appropriate way for PE, that they will come to us to fulfill the requirement. And in that case, we can offer them our services, usually on a one-to-one basis or through one of the group classes. A majority of our members, both kids and adults, what they do with us is not related to adaptive PE or the school systems at all. Parents or other funders would provide are really funding them to come to us, and their program is really individualized for our personal training. Each member has a unique fitness plan that is goal oriented, so everyone's goal is very different, and it could range from working on muscle tone, cardiovascular fitness, occupational movements. Sometimes it's really just getting acquainted with sports so that they can relate to typical peers when they do go to gym class. So it's almost like private tutoring. So when they go back to gym class, they can know which way to run around the bases or be familiar with the equipment that they're using, the sports equipment. So it's really different depending on what the individual's goals are.
But if you're not directly involved with the school PE and they come to you at the gym, do you then go and investigate what they're doing at the school? If it's not a situation where they've been recommended to you to fulfill a requirement, if they come to you, do you find out what their PE program is at school so that you can mold your program to address where the shortcomings may be?
No, not necessarily, because oftentimes it's, people are coming to us for an extracurricular activity. It does not necessarily mean that there's a deficiency in their PE program. Sometimes that might not even come up. We do like to ask, there is quite a lengthy intake process, or I should say thorough intake process, but investigating if there is a deficiency in their PE class is not something that we would necessarily do. It could be, just as someone might go, a typical person might sign up for a karate class or their town's basketball team. It's the same idea as coming to us. It's an extracurricular activity that's suitable to the family's needs.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Adam, do you have anything else to add to that?
I would just add that, Steve, I think you're familiar with do the, color.
Adam, your audio is sounding a little off. It's a little echoey and strange. Can you try unmuting again? Let's see if we're any better. Nope. Sorry. Jackie, do you have anything to add to that? Jackie is also a person that creates our fitness plan. So every person we serve will have this unique fitness plan that Jackie creates based on their initial assessment and based on the goals of the individual or the family.
Yeah, no, I just think you put it really well, Angela, that it's sort of like essentially tutoring. So what we could do at the gym is practice those skills, those movement patterns in a sort of, vacuum environment, essentially, where they're with a one-to-one trainer to practice those skills. And then therefore they're more equipped to be able to do those skills when they're in a different setting with typical peers, or some of our clients back to their PE classes, their regular education PE classes, they're more equipped with those skills. Like Angela said, running around the bases the correct way, or using a long or short-handed implement like a racket. They're more used to, they're familiar with the equipment. That way they have, essentially the tools in their toolbox to be more successful when they go back to their PE program. I thought that was a great question, Steve.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions on this topic at all of fitness and movement in schools and PE? I think we still have another slide or two, so there's still time to chime in. All right. So bringing fitness into your home. Jackie spoke a little bit about the recommendation to get, have physical activity 30 minutes a day, at least 5 days a week. So everyone doesn't have access to that in PE class. You might have it once or twice a week. So that leaves, a lot of extra time, a lot of other opportunities to get fitness. And that is often a challenge, especially for the population that we work with. So we thought we would just take a few minutes and talk on a few ideas on how people can access adaptive PE outside of the school system. So we made a PDF that I think we'll be able to share with you after the presentation with some of these ideas, but we'll just kind of run through some of them now. The big thing, which I think Lynn really highlighted earlier, is, if we have kind of an unfavorable experience with a fitness activity, we are less inclined to repeat that. So I think that is something to highlight. If you try something and it doesn't work out, don't be discouraged. You can try something else. If karate doesn't work out for you, it doesn't mean that, fitness or all fitness programs won't work out for you. So I really encourage people to try something that works for you. I think the most important things to consider when you are trying to find something that will be long-term, that you want to share with your child or family member, is that it's enjoyable, that it's accessible to your budget and schedule, that's appropriate for your fitness and skill level, and it's convenient. So it fits in with your life. Everyone's got so much going on, and this might not be the most important thing you have to do in your day. So when you have a combination of all those things, it is more likely that you will be successful at it. I know personally, if I joined a gym that was a 45-minute drive from my home or my work, I'm probably not going to go that often. If it was more convenient to me, say 5 minutes away or on my way home from work, I will more likely be successful at going regularly. So consider all those options. And I think having something enjoyable is the most important part of this. If you're just not looking forward to it, it's probably not going to be a long-term activity that you can rely on for your fitness because it's not enjoyable to you. So yeah, if those things aren't present, then it'll probably be difficult to sustain over time. Let's see. So just to highlight a few, I want to highlight a few organizations that service people. So we've kind of split up our resource guide into two parts. One is at home and two is outside your home. So outside your home, there are some great organizations within the state of Connecticut that can offer you adaptive fitness. So of course, Autism Health and Fitness Center is one located in Orange. Certainly serving diverse ages and abilities. So that is, of course, a great option. But we are very lucky to also have several JCCs and YMCAs in the state. Both of those organizations have a really great commitment to having adaptive programming. We have definitely tried to develop a relationship with our local JCC. Their commitment to offer adaptive programming is so impressive. Even when things, even when they failed to do so for some reasons, they are committed. And so no matter where you are in the state, I would highly recommend looking up your local JCC and seeing what they have on the schedule. Same for YMCAs. They often do a great job at providing all kinds of classes and adaptive services. Special Olympics is another one. There's a lot of Special Olympics chapters in the state. So just Googling that and seeing if there's a chapter near you and how you can access their programming. Highly recommend it. That can sometimes be a wonderful experience to be a part of inclusive sports, and a really great community as well of parents and caregivers that are a part of that too. We often have many of our members at the fitness center that participate in Special Olympics. So, they let us know what sport they're doing, and, we might spend some time, extra time on that. So, if they are doing, Special Olympics basketball or bowling or, soccer, anything, we will practice those skills, give them a little extra boost. So when they're going to practice or competing, that they will have a little bit more practice in there. At home fitness, that is a favorite. It's so accessible, but it's a challenge of really figuring out what to do and where to start. So, one thing to stress is you don't need any special equipment to be successful at home fitness. That said, Jackie did put together a small list of equipment. If people are looking to expand what they have access to in their home, there's a few small items that can really, change what you do at home. So that will be in our resource guide that we share later. And there are definitely some favorite websites that you can use to kind of, I would say, inspire your movement at home. Jackie and I have both taught an insane amount of remote fitness classes during the pandemic, and we each have some favorite tools that we've used. But just to highlight a few, Go Noodle is a really fun way to, find a bunch of different resources that are really creative, unique, and get kids' attention. There is a ton to explore there. Cosmic Kids is also really fun. It's a yoga storytelling class or YouTube channel. So you find this on YouTube, and I've heard of a lot of people that have become big fans of this. I actually heard an interview with them on NPR. It might have been a month or two ago, but when I heard that, I lost my mind that the Cosmic Kids people were on NPR, our local NPR station. So that is something they've really, it could really capture your attention. They do a great job. The production is really professional. So that would be something I would recommend too for storytelling yoga. And then of course, movement to Kids Bop. If you're not familiar, you're missing out. But YouTube is a great resource. There's such diverse channels on there. You can really just flip through, find what works for you. And once you find someone that you really connect with and you like what kind of content, subscribe to their channel, and then you could keep seeing fresh content that they put out on a regular basis.
I'd like to just jump in and talk about unified sports, which if there's any parents that are not familiar with unified sports, it is when gen ed students are supporting some students who are requiring some additional support. There are basketball programs in a lot of the schools in Connecticut. There are track programs in a lot of schools in Connecticut. And when we were in my town, we were looking to build a new school, and we were going around to we were interviewing principals at some of the other schools. And I will never forget walking into a school that the first thing the principal brought us to was the trophy case from Unified Sports. It was his pride and joy. He was very excited about all of the trophies that their teams had won over the years in Unified Sports. So the kids enjoy it. It is a fantastic opportunity, even for the gen ed students who truly, truly get a lot out of it. We recently had an in-town rival basketball game, and the girls and boys basketball team came to the gym, and they were there to support their classmates. And they had signs, and when the kids made a basket, you would have thought that Michael Jordan had just made a shot. I mean, it was deafening, the cowbells and everything. So it's really a fantastic program. If you do not have it in your school, I would highly recommend talking to your principal and asking them to investigate unified sports.
Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely an important one for sure. That team atmosphere and the team support and the cheering, that adds a whole other element to it. And that reminds me of one of the programs that we will be offering again in the spring, which is our adaptive and inclusive track team called the United Striders. Due to the pandemic, we haven't competed against other teams. We had a virtual track meet, but we always do a track meet just with our team, where we all compete in 3 or 4 events, and the whole day just has a different vibe because we're all there. Everyone is striving for their own personal best, and it's so supportive with parents and volunteers that it's different than practice. It's different than training. It's different than other things that we do. It's a really exciting competition, and it really goes over well with the participants, with our team. Do we have any other?
Do you have that PDF? Did you want to share that PDF?
Yeah, sure. Certainly. Let's see.
If you have a link to it, we can put it in the chat.
Okay. Yeah. Let me see if I can share the link. I'm gonna just stop sharing my screen for a second as I pull that up. But yes. So if we share this link, everyone should be able to download it.
Correct.
Great. Right on. And while I'm pulling that up, does anyone have any other questions or comments that they would like to share? How about you, John? How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
So John, when he was in high school, you did cross country, right? What were the sports that you did? It was cross country?
Cross country. I did baseball.
Yep, you were the manager for with the baseball team, right? He was like the head cheerleader, definitely, and helping to keep score,
Yeah.
right? And you went to all the practices. cross country, he would run did you run the 3 miles or did you just do the mile and a half? You did both. You did 3 miles and you did the mile and a half.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a great experience to be part of that team, for sure. Great.
Right.
What was your favorite?
My favorite.
Your favorite sport that you did when you were in high school? What did you like the most?
I like baseball.
Baseball. You can say it out loud. It's okay.
Good choice. I was going to say, oftentimes keeping the score is the hard part. You know what I mean? That's a hard job.
And did everyone have that, the link to the document come through? I sent it in a chat, but Lynn, I can't see if it just went to you or if it has gone to everyone that's on our meeting here. Has everyone else received a link?
No, Angela, I didn't see anything come through in the chat box.
All right, I'll copy it and share it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great.
Yeah, where would we be looking for that?
So at the
Right,
bottom,
actually, at the bottom, there's a chat.
yeah, so there's a menu at the bottom of your screen. Sometimes you have to roll over it with your mouse and there should be a bunch of icons that come up, and then there is a chat button in there too.
I see it. I see it.
Oh, all it says now is direct message. Doggone it.
Can I also get a copy of the slides?
So I can, Angela, is that okay if we share those? We can share that.
Yeah, if it's cool with Adam, I'm cool with it. All
Yeah,
right.
we had a couple of people who couldn't make it tonight, so I just want to share it with them.
Great. Yeah, no, thank you. Our hope is that people find value in this information, and yeah, that would be great.
Awesome.
So I'm having trouble trying to get this on. So I'll have to, I'll share it with the slides. When we're done, I'll just email it to all of you.
Great. Very good. Any other final questions on any of this? Accessing fitness, accessing our services, or really anything on adaptive PE?
No, I think this is awesome. I think you guys have well, there's the dog barking. You guys have a great handle on this, and we certainly appreciate you sharing all your insights and all of your information with us, and I appreciate it.
And yeah, right back at you, Steve. Steve is a big supporter of our camp program, and we certainly appreciate that. Do you want to mention that briefly, Steve?
No, I mean, we don't need to do that. I mean, we have an organization called Love Yours. It's in memory of my son who passed away, and he was one of the trainers for these guys a few years back, and so we set up the foundation in his honor, and we've been supporting the camp programs and whatever we can with the fundraising that we do on this end. So, but we're trying to learn all of this. This is a very complicated world, and we're trying to learn all the different pieces of this world, and hopefully participate to a larger extent in the years to come. So.
Yeah. Thank you. Everything that you've done so far has had a huge impact on our programming. So yeah, thank you for that. And yeah, we appreciate it.
Well, thank you all very much, Angela, Adam, Jackie. Thank you so much for all of your insight and for sharing this with us tonight. And for those of you who have come on, I hope that you were able to get some value from tonight's conversation, and we will share the presentation and the resources with you. I'll send that out, if not tonight, then tomorrow.
That's great. All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Take care, everyone.